Right, so we're going deep today on James Joyce's Ulysses.
Oh, wow.
And this book, let me tell you,
Yeah.
it's got a reputation, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, that's like that mountain everyone wants to climb.
It's tough.
Yeah, like Mount Everest. Beautiful and intimidating all at the same time. And some
Right.
folks, they just can't even make it past base camp.
Mm-hmm.
But don't sweat it. We're in this together.
Yeah.
We're going to get to the top of this literary mountain, you and me.
We are.
And to help us, we've got some incredible insights from a real Joyce expert, Chris Reich.
Oh, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
Ulysses is something else. You don't just read it, you experience it.
It's an experience.
Yeah, Joyce, he just throws you right into the minds of his characters
Oh, yeah?
and their thoughts. I mean, they're all over the place.
Oh, I can imagine.
It's like, it's called stream of consciousness.
Okay.
And it's like having a conversation after way too much coffee.
Whoa.
Jumps, tangents, the whole shebang, but
Right.
trust me, there's a method to all the madness.
Okay, so imagine like you trying to explain what's going on inside your head right now.
Oh, man.
All those random thoughts, the half-baked ideas, the sudden memories popping up.
Yeah.
That's basically stream of consciousness in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And Ulysses takes it to a whole other level.
Oh, it does.
So today we're tackling the Lotus Eaters episode,
Okay.
which Chris Reich, he makes this brilliant connection to the Odyssey. You remember that story?
Oh, yeah?
Odysseus and his crew, they land on this island
Yeah.
and they eat these lotus flowers.
Uh-huh.
Well, let's just say they weren't exactly in a hurry to leave after that.
Right, those lotus flowers, man, they're like our everyday distractions.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you know those things we do to just like zone out and avoid real life?
Uh-huh.
And Lotus Eaters, it's all about how Bloom, our like modern day Odysseus,
Okay.
navigates all those lotus flowers of Dublin.
I like that modern day Odysseus.
Uh,
So paint us a picture. Dublin, 1904. What's the vibe?
oh, it's a city finding itself.
Okay.
You know, caught between the old ways and the new. And our man Leopold Bloom, he's walking these streets.
Yeah.
But man, he's carrying a lot of baggage.
Emotional baggage.
Oh, yeah. We're talking his wife's infidelity, the loss of his son,
Wow.
and feeling like a total outsider as a Jewish man in a mostly Catholic city.
That's a lot to carry.
And Joyce, he doesn't shy away from showing us Bloom's pain.
He lays it all out there.
Oh, yeah. We see it in his thoughts, his desires, even his quiet moments of despair.
That's heavy stuff. And that's where I think the whole narcotics thing comes in, right?
Yeah. Joyce uses that to show us how people, including Bloom, they try to just escape their reality.
Escape the reality.
It's not just about drugs or booze.
Right.
It's about anything that gives you a break from the rough stuff in life.
A temporary escape.
Exactly.
And those narcotics, they're everywhere in Lotus Eaters, aren't they?
Oh, they're woven right into the fabric of the story.
It's in how people cling to religion or get lost in fancy perfumes and exotic daydreams. Even the everyday cruelty you see on the streets.
Right. Everyone's looking for a way to make the pain go away, even for a little bit.
And Bloom, he's really drawn to these escapes.
Oh, he is.
But it's like he's also aware of how they're not really a solution.
It's like he's trying to quit smoking.
Oh.
He knows it's bad for him,
Uh-huh.
but that temptation, it's always there.
Man, that's a good analogy.
Yeah.
One example that always gets me is his letters with Martha.
Oh, yeah.
This woman he's flirting with through
The
letters.
secret escape from his marriage troubles.
Like an emotional narcotic.
Exactly.
And it's wild to me that he chooses not to actually meet her.
Yeah.
It seemed like such a turning point.
It is. Chris Reich argues that this shows Bloom starting to take control,
Okay.
choosing to resist instead of giving in.
Wow.
It's a small win, but it's a big deal.
Right.
It hints that maybe, just maybe, Bloom can break free from those escapes.
It's not like that one decision just wipes away all his pain and problems.
Oh, absolutely not.
He's still hurting.
He is.
He's carrying so much guilt and shame.
Right. And that's where Joyce's use of symbols, it just hits you.
It's powerful.
Like Bloom taking a bath.
Seems simple enough.
Right. An everyday thing.
Yeah.
But with Bloom's emotional state, it takes on a whole new meaning.
We've all had those days where a hot shower just washes away the stress.
Yeah. But this bath, it's different. Reich sees it as a baptism.
A baptism.
Yeah, like a symbolic cleansing ritual.
Whoa.
Bloom's literally washing himself trying to purify his body,
Mm-hmm.
but underneath it's a deeper, clean, a psychological one.
Oh, I see.
He's trying to wash away the guilt, the shame, all that emotional grime clinging to him.
That's deep.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder,
Yeah.
is a simple bath enough to really cleanse him of all that inner turmoil?
It's a question Joyce leaves us with.
And right after this bath, he goes to a funeral.
Oh, man. Talk about a mood swing.
You can't get much heavier symbolically than that.
Nope. Joyce is putting him right in the thick of it.
Forcing him to confront these big themes of death and loss.
And the meaning of life itself?
Heady stuff. So we've got Bloom, our flawed but relatable hero, fresh from a symbolic bath and headed to a funeral.
Yeah.
I have a feeling things are going to get a lot more intense.
Oh, definitely.
But we'll have to dive into that in the next part of our deep dive. Stay tuned.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we left off with Bloom, fresh out of the bath, heading to Patty Dignam's funeral.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about a shift in gears.
It's like going from a spa straight to a graveyard.
It really is.
Yeah.
Joyce knows how to create contrast.
Oh, he does. And I think that shift is on purpose.
You think so?
Yeah, like Bloom's stepping out of his head and into the world, where everyone's got to put on a show.
The public face of mourning.
Exactly. And you got to wonder, does he feel a little out of place?
I mean, we've seen how he's more of an observer than a participant.
Right, especially when everyone else is looking for those narcotics.
So how does he handle being thrown into this super formal, somber event?
It's fascinating because even with all this grief going on, Bloom's mind, it's still doing its own thing.
What do you mean?
He's surrounded by people who knew Dignam well.
Right.
But he keeps getting distracted by these little things.
Like what?
The carriage creaking, the smell of the flowers, the way the sun hits someone's hair.
So everyone else is focused on the dead, and he's hyper-aware of the living.
Yeah. It's like he can't fully join in the morning because his mind's always jumping around.
It's like there's a wall between him and the other mourners.
Yeah, a sense of detachment.
Which makes you think, what's really going on inside? Is he even sad about Dignam? Or is there something else there?
Reich brings up this really interesting point.
Okay.
He says, the funeral, it's like a trigger for Bloom to face his own grief.
You mean over his son, Rudy?
Exactly. It's been 11 years, but that pain, it's still there.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
And being at a funeral surrounded by death.
It's got to bring back those memories.
Yeah. But he doesn't, lose it or anything.
Yeah. That's what's so cool about Ulysses.
What is?
Joyce doesn't go for the big dramatic breakdowns.
Okay.
He shows us Bloom's grief in these tiny little moments.
Subtle hints.
Yeah. Like when he smells wax and rosewood from the funeral carriage, it instantly takes him back to Rudy's funeral.
Wow. It's a small detail, but it's loaded.
It is. It's like those senses, the smells, the sounds, the sights. They trigger these deep, unspoken emotions.
It's like what we were talking about with the narcotics.
Exactly. Those everyday things, the soap, the wine, the perfume, they all offer these little escapes from the grief.
But the funeral forces him to face the fact that those escapes, they're temporary.
Right. They can't erase the pain or the fact that we all die.
And speaking of death, there's that moment when Bloom's watching the gravediggers.
Oh, yeah.
And he's thinking about how they don't even care about the bodies.
It's a little morbid. Yeah. But also kind of profound.
Like classic Joyce.
Right. Finding meaning in the most unexpected places.
I think that scene, it really highlights this idea that life and death, they're a cycle.
It's a big theme in Ulysses.
We all end up in the ground eventually.
All the rituals in the world can't change that.
So does Bloom's experience at the funeral help him accept his own mortality?
It's a good question. And I think Joyce leaves it open-ended.
He doesn't spell it out for us.
No. He wants us to wrestle with these feelings alongside Bloom.
To feel the weight of grief and the uncertainty of what comes after.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've seen Bloom dealing with death, facing his grief, and pondering some pretty deep questions.
We have.
It feels like we've covered a lot.
We have.
But I bet there's even more to uncover.
Oh, there's always more with Ulysses.
Lotus Eaters.
Oh.
It's just one chapter in Bloom's journey.
And it sets up everything that's going to come.
The doubts, the introspection, the potential for change.
All of it.
Well, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll finish up our deep dive into Lotus Eaters.
Sounds good.
And see what we can learn from Bloom's experiences as he keeps going on his odyssey.
All right.
All right. So we're back and we're wrapping up our deep dive into Lotus Eaters.
Okay.
We saw Bloom battling his demons, watching all those funeral rituals, and really thinking hard about life and death. So as we get to the end of this episode, what are we left with? What can we take away from Bloom's experiences?
Well, one thing that really hits me is that tension between wanting to escape and facing reality.
Yeah.
We see how Bloom keeps getting drawn to these narcotics.
Those little distractions.
Yeah, those things that offer a little break from all the tough stuff.
But we also see him starting to question those escapes.
Right.
Like he's realizing they have limits.
Yeah, he's caught between wanting to numb the pain and wanting to deal with it head on.
And it makes you think, I mean, don't we all do that sometimes?
Oh, absolutely.
Reaching for a distraction when things get rough.
I think that's why Ulysses still speaks to us today.
You think so?
Yeah. It's all about those universal human experiences.
Like what?
The need to escape the struggle, to find meaning when everything feels chaotic.
And what's cool is Joyce doesn't say those escapes are bad. It's like he's saying they're just part of being human.
Right. We all deal with it in different ways.
But he also seems to say that relying on them too much can be dangerous.
Exactly. Remember what Chris Reich said?
No.
Bloom sees a society in pain, and he gets it.
Oh, yeah.
That's key to this whole episode.
How so?
Bloom doesn't judge others for seeking comfort in those narcotics. He gets the urge because he feels it too.
Right.
But he's starting to see that real growth comes from facing your pain, not running away.
So it's not about being emotionless.
Oh.
It's about finding a balance.
Exactly.
Acknowledge the pain, but find healthy ways to cope.
Right. And that's where the idea of transformation comes in.
Okay.
Lotus eaters. It's just the start of Bloom's journey. And we already see signs that he can change.
Like what?
That choice not to meet Martha the Bath as a cleansing ritual. Even his detachment at the funeral.
Right.
They all point to him waking up to a new way of being.
But let's be honest.
Yeah.
Changing yourself, it's not a walk in the park.
No, it's messy, it's uncomfortable, and it takes time.
And I'm sure Bloom's going to hit some bumps along the way.
Oh, for sure.
Ulysses.
Yeah.
It's not a fairy tale.
It's real.
It's a real look at what it means to be human.
And I think that's why it's so powerful.
How so?
It shows us how messy and complicated it is to become who we're supposed to be.
It's a process.
Yeah. And it reminds us that even when things are tough, when we feel lost, there's always hope for growth.
It's like Joyce is saying, hey, life's a struggle, but you can handle it.
Exactly.
And maybe that's the biggest takeaway from Lotus Eaters.
What is?
Bloom, he's just an ordinary guy with flaws.
Yeah.
But he's also proof that we're resilient.
He is.
He shows us it's okay to struggle, to mess up. What matters is that we keep moving forward.
Keep searching for meaning.
Keep trying to be better.
And that journey, it's full of surprises.
It is.
What Lotus Eater shows us.
Unexpected
These
detours.
chance encounters.
Moments of real insight.
It's a journey worth taking.
Even if it means facing some hard truths along the way.
Definitely.
So as we wrap up our look at Lotus Eaters, I think we've just scratched the surface of what Ulysses has to offer.
Oh, yeah. There's so much more to explore.
But I hope this gave you a taste of how rich and complex this book is.
I hope so.
And if there's one thing I want you to remember, it's this. Don't be afraid to get lost in Ulysses.
Let yourself go with the flow.
Soak in the imagery, the humor.
You might be surprised by what you learn about yourself, about humanity, about the power of stories.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So to our listeners, keep exploring Ulysses with open minds and a sense of curiosity.
It's a journey that'll stay with you.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into James Joyce's Ulysses. Until next time.